Well, hello there, people of YouTube. Fat Guy with Old Computers here, and I am going to put together here an Ultimate 486 Beast Monster for you. It is going to be the best motherboard, the best. And first off, here is the motherboard itself, the Supermicro P4 SCT plus II or plus 2 or whatever. It is a 460 or 478 motherboard. I am obviously recording a voiceover for this. Now I'm going to touch that North Bridge heatsink. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to touch the South Bridge. South Bridge is special because it has the PCI-X slots instead of the normal PCI. And I'm just not going on a script on this. I'm just kind of winging it. I'm pointing now to the Ethernet controllers. One is on the North Bridge, and then now one is on the South Bridge. Again, I'm just kind of winging this. Those are normal PCI slots I'm pointing to for some reason, and those are PCI-X slots that I'm pointing to. So under here, this little green heatsink, that is the controller for the 4 SATA ports. That is an option on this board that we have. We have also the 2 IDE in the floppy, 2 more SATA ports on the South Bridge here, and we got huge amounts of voltage regulation for the power-hungry Socket 478 processor. Speaking of, now this is the processor that I'm going to be using. It is the, now bear with me while I bumble with it here in the video. Bumble, bumble, bumble. And then I get in the light right there finally. It is a 3.4 gigahertz Pentium 4 processor. It is the Extreme Edition with the extreme price. Anyway, moving along, I'm going to put this processor back in. I don't want to bend the pins by having it sit out, and that is the safest place for it. I don't remember why I grabbed it, and I'm going to slap it, and I'm going to slap it again. And we're just going to put this over here on the side here, and I'm going to, now this is the memory that I have, 4 sticks of Kingston, 1 gigabytes each. It's DDR400. Nothing really special about that. Okay, actually, I am going to bring this back over here, and we're going to talk about this hot-ass motherfucker of a chip, this P4 3.4 gigahertz Extreme. The motherboard is easily going to be able to handle this. That's not the problem, but these things are incredibly hot. Some people use, just whatever heat sinks they happen to find, and that's just not going to cut it here. So while I'm talking and distracting you from while I'm actually going around and picking up a different heatsink, as you can see, I've already have the 4 studs installed for the run I'm going to use, but I happen to have these Zalmans 7000 series. This particular one is all copper and slightly bent, but there are the copper aluminum ones. They all work, those work fine. I mean, this big, thick copper one, it'll get the job done, but actually, I happen to have something a little bit better. Okay, so what I'm going to show you here is the Alpha cooler that I'm going to be using for this. It is the PAL 8952. For those playing along at home, you can still buy this from their website. It is probably the best cooler you can get. It is not cheap. It mounts with these 4 holes, straight under the board. Doesn't use that crappy plastic Intel cooler, and it sucks in and blows it out. By default, you can set up the fan any way you want. You can even order it without the fan. But we're going to move along. And the next item that we have up for bid is the ATI X850 XTPE. Now, obviously, I do not have the stat cooler on here because also I invested in this big ass, bad boy, the ATI silencer. It lives up to its name quite well. It is practically silent. I had to reinstall the thermal pads because actually what I did was I salvaged the cooler from a different card and put it on this card because that's just the way things work on eBay sometimes. But next up here, I'm just going to throw in SCSI. I've got to use those PCI exports somehow. 68 pin SCSI. I think this particular card is 160 megabytes a second capable. Now, next up here is another little fun little card, the Ageia PHYSX card, PCI version. I do believe this is the Dell OEM one, judging by the ratchet heatsink it has on there. I really don't have much of a plan for it. It's more in here because, fuck it, why not? It kind of fits, but we're going to give it a shot and see how it works. Okay, a little bit of a jump here. I am now going to present you with a sound card that I'm going to be using. It's the Ageia X-FI Extreme Gamer. Oops. Yeah, Ageia X-FI Extreme Gamer. And it is actually a pretty sweet little card. I used to have the front panel connector or front panel cable, and it went to the front, but I've lost that front panel, say la vie. You have to be really careful plugging this into power though, because a long time ago, I really screwed up the power connector right here. It's when I plugged it in, I plugged in it slightly wrong, and it shorted out. I got really lucky that it just crossed the 5 volt to the ground, and it just made sparkies, flash. I had to change my pants. It's the whole 9 yards. So just be careful when you install these, little shit ass bird connectors, because you can always really screw something up here. Okay, so next up, what I got here is going to be the floppy drive. Why do I put a floppy drive in here? Well, it's not quite a floppy drive. It's this LS120 super disk. It's basically a zip drive and a floppy disk had a baby with each other, and the baby wasn't compatible with the zip disk. But I'm going to use this for the floppy drive part because it's going to be on the IDE controller, and I'm going to leave that for the 5 1/4 drives. Let me put this right here. But it is a little bit better on reading disks than anecdotal experience. So, but it's going to be good for those Mac disks. Now, speaking of, here is the zip drive that I'm going to be using. This is the 250 meg model on IDE. A little dirty, but it's going to sit right on top of that disk right there, and it's going to handle the zip disk duties that I need this for to transfer files between PC and Mac. Now, next up here, I'm going to have the first of the 2 floppy drives. This particular one is the only 360K floppy drive that I have that currently isn't in a machine. It is a Mitsubishi, and I've cleaned this up a little bit. I have no idea if it works yet. I really do hope it works because, well, it's the only one I got. So this is going to be for reading 360K floppies because this 1.2 meg version can't really read them just right. I mean, you can read them, but you can't really write to them, and it's just a fucking pain in the ass. So sometimes it's easier just to have 2 separate floppy drives. Again, this is a Mitsubishi one. I just chose it because they happen to be the same brand. Even though they're going to match a little bit, but I'm going to have now I got 4 drives. And speaking of drives, I'm going to set these here to the side, and I'm going to show you the hard drives I'm going to be putting in there. Note that it is plural. I'm going to start off with 2 Western Digital 10K RPM Raptors. I believe these are the second edition. We work, they're a little bit, and they don't have the buggy firmware from the front. Actually, I think they've been relabeled. But these things were the envy of all the people that were, living in that era. And I got a pair of them. I'm going to put them in a RAID. But that's not all, folks. I'm going to put in 4 more hard drives because one of the secondary uses for this computer is going to be video recording. These particular drives are ones that I salvaged from some DVRs that I got in a lot. I had literally a pile of them, 320 gigs a piece, and they are designed for, high throughput video. So they are fast, they are quiet, and that's, I'm just got a whole bunch of them, and I'm going to use 4 of them in this. That's basically a terabyte of storage in this computer, and it's probably never seen that before. I'm going to set these over here to the side now, and we're going to move on to the next piece. Okay, next up here is the CD drive, or DVD drive, I should say. It is a basic unit from 2008. It's a Plexter. Telling you what model number it is, but it really doesn't matter that much. This is before they really started going down in quality, before they got bought out by somebody, before they just became just a regular disposable POS like everything else. It used to be that Plexter was the name, the hallmark for quality in optical drives, but now it's all crap and nobody cares anymore. Again, made in China, 2008, so hopefully it works still. Um, I can be able to write things with it. I'm not exactly planning on writing any discs because I could just turn around and plug in a USB, one of these little crap ass USB writers into my main rig, and that gets the job done fast enough that it's just like, just plug it in and go. Okay, here. Now I'm going to get this heatsink installed. I took off the fan here, the 80 millimeter fan, and you can see the graphite forest. It's actually anodized aluminum. Some of the pins are square and some are round. I don't know why they did this. All I know, it effing works. But let's go ahead and clunk, get this done. I use these little alcohol pads. You can buy them for like $2 at Walmart or wherever you use, and they are really handy. They're only 70% alcohol, not 90, but they really they fit the job for fast lickety split, clean enough. I mean, it's not fucking rocket science here, people. I mean, just the fact that you're taking the time to clean it is good enough. Speaking of good enough, um, I'm going to use this tube of white Arctic silver that I've had. Oh god, I've had it for 10 years now. I've slowly been using it up, and I'm going to spread a huge gob of it onto this. I'm probably going to put a lot too much on there, but it doesn't really matter. Again, as long as you have enough, just sort of gob it on there, pull it back so it doesn't make too much of a mess. Then you realize, oh crap, I've already made a mess. So you get this other swab, you can just rip it off, and you always got to clean the tip. Uh, it's one of those little health tips they don't really tell you. You got to make sure you clean your tips. Anyway, all right, let's move on here. Yeah, Arctic Silver 5. It's the Cerab Beak or whatever it is. It's good enough. I refuse to buy anything more expensive because it's, the 1 degree in difference is going to make a difference to me. But we're just going to plop this on kind of in the right place, where these little springs springing go right here. So now, thank you to the invention of fast forward, I'm going to spare you the agonizing, minute or so of me effing around with these screws, lining them up right, getting them into the holes, da 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 da. The phrase "put some hair around it," you know, comes to mind. But again, moving on. Uh, Once you get this heatsink installed, it is actually really good. Um, I cannot stress that enough. But yeah, no more fast forward. Again, you can see the the mounting nuts that you screw into. This thing, literally clamps itself to the board. So you don't want to really use a cheap board because it pushes down fairly well. It's going to clamp on there pretty damn tight. There's no, and here I am forgetting about the shroud, suddenly remembering the shroud, putting the shroud on. It helps hold the heat or the fan just off the heatsink just enough so that it works right. But again, I'm going to slide this on, yeah, and this is going to be a lot quicker than the heatsink to the motherboard things because they just line up a little bit better. And I'm going to tighten this up here. They don't need to be super tight. I mean, it's just enough to hold the fan on snug. Um, you could probably get your own fan, and I just happen to use the one that came with it because it works well. It's not the quietest fan, but once you see the case, you'll understand why it really doesn't matter that much. And there we go. And don't forget to plug in the power for the fan right here to the conveniently located powered little doohickey adapter. And behold the beauty that is the Leon Live V1100. It is obviously the silver version. It is absolutely a wonderful case to have. I'm really happy to have it, even with that little mark right here. I wish they didn't have the black bars on it, but whatever. I can live with that. But it is incredibly light, just this absolutely understated, you know, case here. And I'm just going to play with the back, pop it open, and you can just pop off the sides just like, yeah. And it reveals the insides here. Now we have space for 6 hard drives. They got their own fan. The power supply goes in the back. Obviously, motherboard goes there, and we have 5 drive bays. So, a total of 11 drives can be fit into this absolute beast of a machine. I still have the stock fan in the back, and only because I don't have a second Noctua like this guy here. It'll be fine. I'll get one eventually. But yeah, these are portioned off. It sucks air in through here and blows it out through the top, just like it sucks it in from the front and blows it out through the back of the power supply. So it comes with a little blower fan, and it goes right. Yeah, it's kind of an afterthought. The later versions of this case had it built in, but it gets for some people it's not going to use it. Like if you had a Pentium 3 system, you wouldn't need it, but this one we're definitely going to want it. I still have the little aftermarket, or not? No, I still have this guy here. It allows you, when the air is sucking in from the back, to blow it right on top of the heatsink, or suck it out directly from there. In this case, it's going to be blowing in, and I'm going to use the sucking out of the top. As for the power supply, I have this one right here that I'm grabbing right now. It is a ATI silencer, the 750 watt, the red SLI one that you can't get anymore. Back when that company was actually worth a shit. It's got a monster of cables, but I was using this in my server for quite a while, but it's just too big. I mean, I even shot footage of me removing this little panel, which is just 6 screws, and getting it in there, but the cables then get in the way of that hole, and I can't get 2 hard drives in, so blah, 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 blah. I actually didn't put that in there, and I went out and bought one, like some sort of person with money.
From
I got it all together. It's a little dark in there, sorry. Let's work with the lights I got. All the hard drives are in. We got A drive, no, A drive, B drive, C drive, D, E, F, G. Then we're up to G. Then we're going to have Z for the network drive. But yeah, pretty much the only thing left to do is just to power it on and get some Windows XP on this thing and see if all the drives work. Ta-da! It's actually okay. Shit, which one did I make which? Let's do that. Hey! I even got the LEDs right. So you're gonna miss me actually installing XP, which was the first time was a total pain in the royal ass. For those that don't know, it's the onboard SATA was just absolutely refusing to work right, and he couldn't find the right drivers. He just wanted to beat an absolute ass. But let's just throw something up. Just to see if things are working. Found it. Okay, yeah, it's gonna. Well, I don't care. All of these are really old bookmarks up here. Okay, let's just go to there. I just want to see it. Okay. Alright, let's close that. Okay, just a bit of an update on the zip drive itself. Wasn't anything wrong with the drive. What I had done is I had installed the screws wrong. You know, all these drives, these have these, screws on the bottom. And I thought, oh, I'll just use the screws on the bottom to secure the drive. Well, apparently if you use screws that are slightly too long, it interferes with the drive mechanism, or you can't insert anything. So I just put the screws out from the bottom, put it in the side, and wham, bam, thank you, man, we're done. So, I did a little benchmarking, and I've installed Mac Drive 8. Mostly because 9 didn't want to seem to work just right, but 8 seemed to work just fine. The majority of what I would ever want to do with this is just to transfer the occasional disk image over, so if you don't have, so you can burn things, you can get some older games, and I'm going to put it right onto a zip disk. This one should already be formatted Mac. This one has all these, the basic utilities that I would always need for every Mac. Res edit, stuff it, blah, 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 blah. So, insert that. And this should pop up. No. Hold on. Is this Mac drive even working? Maybe I should have actually restarted it, huh? Okay, take 2 after a restart. I forgot to restart it. Let's see if this works now. Start the disk. Boom. Okay, now it works fine. So I'm looking at the Mac. So now we're looking at the Mac disk. So I have the things on here like res edit. I got a file or a drive format utility, the hacked SDSC setup, stuff expander, tools for zip disk, the hacked CD-ROM driver for Apple. Things that would need in a basic setup of a computer. So, hey, it even give you a little Apple icon. How nice is that? But yeah, so that worked fine. Let's try a floppy disk. So let's eject this. Now I have a Mac floppy disk here. It has some kind of weird ass Homer Simpson thing, and I'm just going to dump this right into the super drive. And we are going to have a look at it on drive K. And it works. So, or at least it brought up the thing. It's good enough for what I'm going to do. It's basically only there for, hey, I downloaded this set file, I need to transfer it to a floppy, to transfer it to a Mac, and wham, bam, thank you, man, there it is. Okay, so that's about it. So that's, no, I can't inject that one. But anyway, I've used this program before, and it works just fine. I did contact the makers of the program Mac Drive. I have not yet heard back from them. I asked them for, hey, can I use this old version for free? Because they got version 10. I said, yeah, I just want to use version 8 for free, just to, on some old System 7 stuff, and I've yet to hear back. I'm not expecting to hear back from them. So I just found a cracked version and...
Do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. Yar, har, fiddle indeed. Being a pirate is a right indeed. Do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
But yeah, zip drive works fine. The LS120 drive works fine. At least with floppy disk. I have no idea if the actual LS120 part works. I don't particularly care. The 1.2 meg 5 1/4 works fine. But the 360K is still dead. Now on to some benchmarks. 24.8. I don't know what this demo 4 is, but that one runs a hell of a lot faster at 270 FPS. So.
Hunter becomes prey. Useless. Killer manslaughter. Roadkill. Killing spree.
Blue flag taken. Blue flag dropped. Blue flag dropped. Blue flag returned.
We carry flag punished.
Red bleeds.
Okay, just some final thoughts while I'm finishing up benchmarking. I just took off the side case. The hard drives are cool. Processor was probably running at 44 degrees. That's about as hot as it gets. I think the hottest I've seen it is 46. Video card's running below 40. We're getting good frames per second in Crysis. That's at 1280 by 1024 low settings. Like I said, it's a low because that's what it recommends. So, because of the amount of VRAM, there's only 256 megs here, but you know, that PHYSX card is absolutely worthless. Sound card does good, you know, but that is one awesome CPU cooler. It does a fantastic freaking job keeping this thing cool. Hard drives are fast, quiet. Power supply does a good job. I mean, I dare say it's absolutely ultimate. But yeah, this just finished up.